Today's topic is academic support services at Illinois College, and our presenters are from the Center for Academic Excellence. So with us today, we have Amy Swiderski. She is the director of the Center for Academic Excellence and TRIO Student Support Services. We also have Elizabeth Hamawan, which is our Disability Services Coordinator, as well as a TRIO Academic Counselor. And the special guest is Abby Keller. She recently graduated as of last month, so she is now an IC alum. So we'll go ahead and let our presenters get started. And after, we'll just open up for Q&A, so feel free to put any of your questions in the chat box. So I will let you ladies go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm Amy Swiderski, and I am the director, as Lakin said, of the Center for Academic Excellence. And I will let Liz introduce herself. Liz, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Liz Hamawan, and I am the Disability Services Coordinator and TRIO Academic Coach.
So what we want to talk about today are services that are for anyone on campus, and any first-year student coming in can ask for these services. So I'm going to walk through a couple of them, and Liz is going to walk through a couple of them. And we invited Abby because when we get into the tutoring and the supplemental instruction, Abby has both received the end of getting the help from those services, and Abby has also been those services. So as we kind of walk through, so feel free to ask questions, and feel free, and Abby, I'll ask you to pop in when there's certain things that I'm talking about with tutoring and supplemental instruction. So as you can see, we have 4 services that any student on campus who needs them or qualifies could come in and ask for. The first 3 services that we're going to talk about pertain to all students across campus. And we're very excited about the first one. So Erica, if you want to go to that first slide for Liz. Liz is going to talk about academic coaching for all students on campus, and every first year student, you're going to get one. So we're very excited about it.
All right. So as Amy mentioned, academic coaching is one of the programs that we are super excited about at IC because it's an extension of services we've done within the TRIO program, and we saw such great success. We're extending it out to all first-year students. So IC was the recipient of a Title III grant that lets us have every first-year student get paired with an academic coach. And we view it not as this punishment thing, or if you think about the coach who makes you run sprints and you get tired and you're thirsty and all these things, you know, we think of it as sort of the training and the mentoring, the good parts about coaching. So I have on the screen sort of, you know, a blanket way of what we approach with each year. So your first year, you're coming in, we're talking to you about getting transitioned to college life. You know, maybe that you took some classes like an AP course, or you took a class through like dual credit, but now you're really into the thick of it, or this is your, you know, total first time taking a college course and you have no idea when your professor says something like a syllabus or comprehensive final and what does this all mean, right? So we're there for you your first year to help you get transitioned and particularly get used to IC college life. And then as we get to know you, we stick around through all your years at IC. So your sophomore year, we're working on boosting up some of those academic study strategies, exploring different things with you, and just sort of getting to know you and what your future goals are, because then as you get through to like your junior year and senior year, we start thinking about the future, right? So junior year, we might help you get partnered up with the offices to talk about internships or starting that grad school search. And then senior year, Abby can talk about this. We say it's okay to graduate. It's okay to enter this world we call adulting. So we are there for you, and we are a service it's meant to help. It's not meant to hurt. It's not to be a punishment, right? Because everything we do is in support of you. So even if you come in and sometimes I need this too, where I go into Amy's office and I'm like, I've had a day, let me unpack my stressors, right? That's what we're there for. And we've seen such success through the TRIO program. We want to offer it for all of the first year students. And then you get to know us throughout all of your time at IC.
Okay. Abby, do you have anything you want to add about academic coaching and how you utilized it differently throughout your 4 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So my first year in college, I literally I'm from St. Louis originally, and I'm actually in St. Louis now. Going to Jacksonville was such a big shift from what I was like. I've no idea how to deal with, you know, there's not a Starbucks down the street. I had no idea. My sophomore year, it was like, how do I, improve my note taking for all of these STEM classes that I'm going to have to start taking? What's my advanced course load going to look like, and how am I going to manage that? For my junior year, actually between my sophomore and my junior year, I did research, I did an internship, and I did start looking at grad schools then. And my senior year, yes, it is okay to graduate. Like, there's so much stuff that you can do during your senior year. And it is okay to go off into the world and leave IC behind, but it'll be so sad because I miss all of you already. And it is really, really, really important to have somebody in your corner all 4 years. Or even if it's just like your sophomore year and you're really struggling and you're just not having a good time with this one professor and something is going on in your personal life, it is just really important to have a person that is in your corner that's like, everything is going to be okay. It's going to be fine. We're going to get through this. What is our next problem? What's the next thing that we have to do? And so that was really important for me. Like all 4 years, I knew Amy through Yates, which is like the first generation college student program. And I've known her all 4 years, and she has just been such a wonderful influence. And I encourage you to find someone that can be in your corner for you, and help you through all those college struggles.
Thank you, Abby. Yeah, we're one of those places that you can just run in the door and say whatever you're thinking, and we don't even have to say anything, and you're like, good appointment, and then run out, right? So sometimes we're just there for people to get things off their chest, or then sometimes we have true and tried study habits that we like to work on. And so one of the things that we do in the sessions, Erica, if you go to the next slide, please, is trying to get students to see the importance of the peer tutoring. And this is one that I feel really strongly about. I ran the tutoring program up until a couple of years ago, and now one of our academic coaches, Nikki Overcash, helps with the peer tutoring. But I think it's really important to note that a lot of students come to IC either thinking because they did really well in high school that they're not going to need tutoring, right? Or feel like, oh, I thought I was really good in high school and now I'm not so good in college. And it's not that you're not good in college, it's just college is totally different, right? And sometimes we run into professors that you might have 4 in a semester and all 4 of them teach a totally different way, and you're not used to what they're doing. So you want to run it by a peer who might understand who that professor is. So what we offer is peer tutoring. It's free, right? And you can use as much tutoring as you need throughout your semester. We do them in 1-hour increments because we're firm believers that if, an hour, we're all brain fried after an hour, right, of trying to learn something new. But you can have as many appointments a week as you want. So I know students this semester who use their statistics tutor, right, 3 times a week for an hour, and then we're able to master the class of statistics. So what we do is we offer those for the majority of first intro level classes, from anything from your math classes to your psychology classes to your sociology classes. And if we don't have a tutor for a class and you really feel like you need one, professors work with us to help find someone who's taking the class alongside of you, and we make them a tutor, right, so that they can help you out. So it is free to everyone, and you can utilize it as much as you want. One thing that we really like about our tutoring program is it's flexible, right? So it accommodates every student's schedule. We've gone back and forth on this because a lot of institutions will say like, oh, you can come for set hours, right? Like it's open from 8 to 5. So my question was always, well, what if from 8 to 5 I don't have trouble with math, but I have trouble with math at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, or a lot of our students Sunday night at 4, right? Like a lot of times Sunday night's the big night to study. So what we did is we have this easy online, it's Tutor Track, and we'll teach you how to use it. And it's very simple, and it's with all your apps on your Connect 2, on your single sign-on. But we have the students on there, and the beauty of it is you'll have your list of courses, and you can go into your Tutor Track and click on and it'll actually show you your classes. And once you click on your classes, it'll show you which tutors are available for that class. The good news with that is if you don't see anyone on there, then you just give us a shout out at the Center for Academic Excellence, and we remind tutors. Sometimes they're busy people and forget to put their hours in. Or that means there isn't one for that class, and you might give us a shout out and say, hey, I really need help in that class. Can you get a tutor for that class? And so Nikki and I work very closely together. We're only a couple doors down from each other, and we're constantly updating the tutors. One thing I'm really proud of at Illinois College is I've been to a lot of tutoring conferences with big universities who have maybe 12 to 15 tutors who try to cover whatever they can in whatever areas they can. Last year, we had 45 tutors at Illinois College. So for being a small institution, we hire as many tutors as we need to make students successful at the college. So we are always looking for people, right? The other good thing is if you're a rock star in the class, right, then we can turn around in the Center for Academic Excellence and hire you after your first year. So we have a lot of sophomores that come in and ask us for work after they did really well in the class. But I did want to point out the who gets tutoring. We need you to know everyone gets tutoring, right? And I think there's a stigma sometimes behind tutoring means I'm doing bad, and that's not the case. Our mantra is A students get tutoring, right? B students get tutoring. If you want to maintain where you are in a class, that's a really good time to reach out to a tutor before an exam. I have a lot of students who will come at exam and say, hey, I don't understand what I missed on this exam, and they'll go over it with them so that they understand it for next time. And so we have some students that will come tell me, hey, I only made the dean's list because I had a tutor, right? Like I was able to touch base with them. I only need them when I only have to get them when I need them. Or if you are struggling in a class, your academic coach will reach out to you and say, hey, don't forget about tutoring. There's these people willing to help you, right? And so utilize that as much as possible because it is very important and it's free, and our students who tutor love to tutor. They're also picked by their professors. And so we don't look at students who automatically get straight A's in a class to become the tutors, because we want people who know how to teach what the content is. So they're very non-intimidating, nice people who just want to help you. And Abby, I'm going to run through supplemental instruction and then have you speak to both, since they're kind of both in the same wheelhouse. So Erica, if you can look, because the supplemental instruction on the next slide is pretty much very similar to tutoring, but more in a group. So the peer tutoring is literally one-on-one. You need to meet with someone one-on-one, and you need that time with just that person for you, okay? Supplemental instruction, on the other hand, is another program that I'm in charge of in the Center for Academic Excellence. And this one, we have different students than the tutors. And these are students that go to classes that are traditionally classes that students might struggle in. So as you can imagine, most of those are like your STEM courses, right? So like math, bio, chem, physics, some of those types of classes, calculus, anything that is considered STEM. And then this last year, we figured out there's some also intro classes, like some of the first year language classes, like Spanish or French or Japanese. And sometimes we have found that some of the big social or psych classes need supplemental instructors. And so what these students do, they have already taken the class, and I pay them to take it again. So they're actually sitting in there with you, like they're taking the class, except one day a week, they hold an outside session. Professors do this differently, right? Some might do it during the class time, some might do it at night. But they are open at night, and then they hold a session for you to come in and ask any questions that you have that you, A, are afraid to ask the professor because you don't want the professor to not think you know what you're doing, right? Or B, some professors like the language of their content, and so SIs can help you break down what that language is, like how to talk or how to work through a problem. They can go over test prep, and they do it in a small group. So last year I had not only the 35 to 40 tutors, but we had over 25 supplemental instructors as well. So professors are asked to introduce these students so that you know who they are, and then they help. And I know Abby was a big SI who actually, when we went to online learning, who actually continued a lot to do her supplemental instruction and tutoring. So Abby, do you want to talk from both sides, you know, if you can, from what it's like to be a tutor as well, or an SI as well as receive tutoring and supplemental?
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, well, let's start with tutoring. I guess sophomore, freshman year, first year, I was just having a really tough time with chemistry. In high school, I didn't really do well in chemistry. And then I was like, I shot an email to Amy, and I'm like, Amy, can you hook me up with a chemistry tutor? Like, I have kind of an idea of what's going on in this class, but I really have no idea, and I'm really, really, really struggling right now, and I really need help. Please, thank you, and have a nice day. And she did. She hooked me up with my chemistry tutor, and I didn't need as much help as I thought I did. It was more just understanding like the dynamic of the class and how I could succeed in that particular professor's class. It wasn't necessarily the material. It was more just like going to that class at 8 o'clock in the morning and being a little brain fried the rest of the day. And then from that, this past semester, I did supplemental instruction for college algebra. And I am not a math major. I was not a math major. That is not what my degree is in. I was a health science and a psychology major, double major. And I got this email and I was like, okay, yeah, I think I could probably supplemental instruct math, which is terrifying. I will tell you, it is terrifying to go into something that you're not an expert in. But then like you realize that it's not necessarily that you're supposed to be an expert. It's more just like, hey, you took this class and you got through it and everything was fine. You know, the world didn't implode. And hey, can you help these students do that? And yeah, like Amy said, when we transitioned over to online learning, instead of like my once to twice weekly, I was doing it twice, sometimes 3 times, like having those supplemental instructing times. And sometimes I would schedule appointments with students who just needed that little bit of extra help, which is totally fine. Please don't ever think that just because you need help, that doesn't mean like you're not, like Amy said, you're not doing well in the class, or you know, you just don't understand the single concept or whatever. Like that's not the point of what supplemental instructors do. Like we're just there to help you, to get you through the class. And especially with the professor that I had this past semester to supplemental instruct, understanding what he wants from you or what they want from you is really important. And having someone in that class who has taken that class before, who understands what the professor wants in most of the course material, is really helpful. I was in Sociology 101 this past semester as well. There was an SI in there. Now, like Amy said, sometimes they're inside and outside supplemental instructors, so they'll be during the class time or outside of class time. This one was during the class time on Fridays, and she was just going over all the course material that she thought was important to help us with the next test. And that's all that some of us really needed. And sometimes people need a little bit more help, and that's okay too.
So now we're going to have Liz take it away with another service that we offer in the CAE. And then after that, we will be able to open up, and after Liz does hers, and open up for just discussion in general. So the next slide, please. Liz will be able to take.
So I hope that those of you who are with us today are catching our theme of just normalizing the being okay with asking for help. It's everybody at some point needs help from someone or a group. And in particular, one of the groups that I am very passionate about working with is those students who have documented disabilities. IC does have an office that works with providing reasonable accommodations for students with disabilities. And I've seen a lot of your guys' names on different Ready, Set, Go sessions. So we've talked about how I am your go-to person to talk to about setting up those accommodations. And the biggest thing that I want to share today is just with our theme of asking for support is learning how to be your own best advocate. Beyond working with me and setting up your accommodations, you and I form a relationship to just starting to build that strength and being okay and asking for what you need. So a lot of times, you know, Amy and I will talk in front of groups of first-year students or new students, transfer students, and they'll say, I used supports before, but I want to go into this part of my journey and I just want to do it on my own. That's okay. That's still somewhat brave, but we want you to know that maybe before you make that scary decision of going it alone, you just talk with someone. And so that's where that advocacy builds in. You work with me, you talk about what might be concerning for you, We might have accommodations for one semester, maybe not, because your courses are a little bit different. So what you need changes. You know, if you were used to having an IEP or a 504 in high school that stayed the same from your, you know, first year to your senior year, that might look a little bit different in college because your classes change all the time and your experiences change all the time. So it's all learning about what you need. And again, being okay and asking for that help. The one thing that we do want to point out is now it's up to you, the student, to disclose that you have that disability and that you want to have that help. The one thing, as much as we all love and care and support and want to nurture you, when it comes to accommodations, we do have a law that we work under, and that means they're not retroactive. So let's say you did go into your first semester and you're like, I don't need it, I'm fine, I'm gonna make this work, right? And something happens, as life tends to, and we're 7-8 weeks into the semester. I can help you for the remaining weeks of the semester, but I can't go back and help you with the first 7 or 8 weeks. So that's why I say, before you make that decision to go it alone, at least just talk to me about that. My office is also in the Lincoln Hub. I'm by the Starbucks, so you'll probably also find me trying to get my, white hot chocolate with my caramel shots added to it for my daily dose of energy. Okay. And I'm a person with a disability, and I advocate for this stuff all of the time. It is okay to ask for the help that you need. So before I get on like my preacher soapbox, we'll put it there. And we'll just move it on to questions and answers, but just want you to know, again, it's okay to ask for help. Even if you're terrified and you're scared and you don't put the words together, because Lord knows I don't put the words together the right way all the time, but I still just try. And that's my biggest hope for you. And as your advocate in your corner, that's what I'm going to help you with as well. So that was my thing.
And I'd like to mention that we all work very closely with Liz, right? So while it is a private thing between the two of you, if I have a student who would like me to help them with their academic coaching through Liz, we can do that as well. So we all work together nicely, but share nothing that we're not supposed to, and Liz is very good. So it's a very comfortable process, and like we said, we all need help for something, right? So, and so that's kind of today what we want to do. So if Eric, if you want to quit sharing so that they can just see us maybe, we want to open it up for questions for either Abby, myself, or Liz about any of that, academic coaching, the tutoring, the supplemental instruction, or display services, or if you just have questions in general about the Center for Academic Excellence. Yes, academic coaching is available for transfer students. So what we do is throughout the summer, we have some 10-month positions and some 12-month positions. And so overall, there is, Liz, correct me if I'm wrong, 7 coaches, I believe.
Yeah.
And so some work just with first-year students in general, and some of the Title III coaches work with students who transfer in. So we should say any first year and any new student to college. So any new student who comes in will be assigned an academic coach. And what we're working on really hard this year, since it's our second year of having this grant when school starts, is to be able to reach out to you, and you'll get probably a note or an email or something from your academic coach, so that within the first couple of weeks, you'll know who that person actually is in our office, and you can already set up an appointment at some point within the first week. That's the goal. So we're very excited about that. Don't hesitate to re-ask me anything, because I talk really fast, and it's not nerves, it's just me. I got it from my mom. So if I said anything about tutoring or supplemental instruction, nothing in our office costs anything additional, right? So academic coaching is a service that we do out of our office to students. You can see them as often as you need. Some students I saw once a week faithfully, right? Like I called it our day. They checked in once a week. And then some of my students I might see every 2 weeks, and sometimes I didn't see students except for once or twice a month, right? Because they just needed something. If we don't hear from them for a while, we're pretty good about doing a check-in of like, hey, we haven't heard from you. We just want to make sure you're okay. And then we just check in to make sure. And so that's a free service. None of the services that we mentioned, or any services out of our office, none of those cost anything. So the tutoring is free, supplemental instruction is free. And there is no cost to use your academic coach or disability services as well. And we feed people. We like to have fun. In the CAE, we have fun days and we do weird things. And people come see us to have cocoa and cookies and stuff.
Meatballs and chili and buffalo chicken dip.
We had a Zen room. We were keeping it calm, cool, and collected.
We like to do that during stressful times of the year, right? So I do want you to know, you know, we are planning on coming to campus, and if something would happen, because we all know everything changes every 5 minutes, right? You will still have an academic coach. So coaches are prepared in any manner they need to reach out to students and to offer support however you can. I think it's kind of important to note that this year, even when we had to go online, we really stayed close to our students that we coach, right? And worked with students on getting hotspots and getting books and getting things that they might need, or how do I navigate this professor now who's just learning how to do online stuff, right? So our coaching changes with the times and changes with what the needs are. And we always make sure to foster and change what we're doing with what needs you have as students. So that's one thing that we are proud about our program.
And I think one thing that I'd also just kind of like to mention is you'll hear a lot about like the services that we have at IC, or you'll hear about the Lincoln Hub, or you'll hear about this office or that office. The one good thing across IC is if you're not quite sure, you've heard a bunch of names, you've heard a bunch of different places that can help you. If you wander into an office and you say, I need help with this one thing, are you the person or is it somebody else? We're not possessive, and we're not, afraid to collaborate. So even if you just walk in and you say, I think I'm confused about this, somebody will help you. If it's one of us in the CAE, or if it's any other member of an IC support team, it's just okay to be vulnerable and just say, I'm confused. A lot of students kind of often get scared in those first few weeks navigating a new environment, and we'd rather put on a brave face and just follow the crowd. And then there's always going to be, you'll be that hero if you just ask, because inevitably someone else is wondering about the same thing you are, and you also teach us sometimes new things. So if you come in here and you have something and we're learning alongside you, that's just as much of a benefit for us. So just be brave, be vulnerable. Because if you come into my office, there's probably going to be times where I might spill something, or I'm spitting, or I'm shouting, and I'm singing to my Disney songs too loud, and that's okay. We'll get through it together. And I hope that you like, Harry Potter and all of these things, because we'll be good friends, right, Abby? We're humans, and we love what we do, or we wouldn't be in this business. So just come and chat with us.
I have walked many students to lots of places across campus in their first semester. That's just kind of what we do, right? Can't find the library, we get you there. Can't find health services, we get you there. And so we kind of, that's kind of our umbrella, right? If we can't help you, we find who can, and we make sure we get you into the right hands.
That was probably one of the coolest things when I had brought down a first-year student last year. I walked into the front desk and I was like, I don't know where or who we need right now, but we need this, and this. And Amy came out and you were like, okay, yep, we'll do this here. We'll go into here. Everything was just so one-stop shop, and the attention to detail of everything the student needed was done and organized and scheduled within minutes. So that was really cool to see.
And that's how we work. We are proud of the fact that we're all, and it won't be new to all of you coming in to meet us, but it was new to Abby that we're all in one place. A lot of services that work together, right? When we came to the hub, Abby, it's all in there together. And so it's nice because if we need to get to someone, right? If we need extra help for you, it doesn't take us any time to do it. We physically walk over and say, we want to get this on somebody's calendar, whether it's career services or whether you're wanting help with a resume or whether you need to see the nurse. We can do that because we all work really well together, and we all know each other and how each other's offices work. And that's something we're proud of too, is how well we all work together. We just want what's best for you. We want you to get what you need.
Any other final questions? I shouldn't say final, because if you ever have questions, you can always reach out to one of your counselors or Amy or Liz directly. But if there isn't anything else, I wanted to thank you three for joining us today, as well as all of our guests. Don't miss, kind of putting a plug in, don't miss for next week. We'll have OD, Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. So on Thursday at 2 p.m., you can come back for that True Blue topic. But thank you guys so much. I hope that, everyone learned something today. And when we start back up in the fall, that, no one will have that hesitation or fear of walking in and at least just introducing themselves and also reaching out for any help. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Can't wait to meet you.